Good afternoon. I would like to start with saying thank you for the invitation to come to the conference and speak at this panel. It's a great honor to be part of such a distinguished group of people, and also a pleasure to listen to the other presenters in the morning. I regret I wasn't able to come and participate yesterday, so I just learned about the experiences from yesterday from talking to people I've already met. I also need to make a personal comment. I'm using for the first time my reading glasses for the presentation, so I hope to manage. I'm going to talk about the activity of the Open Society Foundation, sometimes known as Open Society Institute, sometimes known as a network of Soros foundations. It's a global organization that is both having a role as a donor organization as well as developmental organization. We talk today a lot about various identities, so that's an organization that has multiple organizational identities. It has very complex structure and nature, operating globally in the areas of promoting human rights, rule of law, social justice. It has programs ranging from justice programs to information programs, arts and culture, and education, which is one of the biggest area. We have traditionally worked in former Soviet Union countries and Central Eastern European countries. Only recently, over the past 5-6 years, the activities in the extended and large European Union we started activities here in the EU and also in the area of education. The program I'm going to talk about, Education Support Program, has started an initiative called Integration and Diversity in Education in Europe that combines two main lines of action. It focuses on advocacy, but at the same time also supporting local projects at the local level, because we believe that advocacy without strong link to the real life, it's losing the most important part, and that is it comes directly from those who are the most affected. We use research to underpin both activities and connect them, so I will talk a bit more about this later on during the presentation. The role of the organization is then to bring together various partners and also bring activities from the local level also to the European level. One of the key elements of this initiative was to amplify the voices of the most affected communities. So first of all, give them voice, listen to them, but also raise that voice, make it more loud. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to bring those young people we have worked with, so you will just see a few pictures of them over the course of my presentation. So this is not going to be bringing voices, but more bringing picture of them. The project, which is co-funded together by OSI and the EU, was implemented in 5 countries. Those were countries that are old and new EU member states. They are different in size, different in their history, in their policies, education policies, and of course education structures and systems. We had a pleasure to work in partnership with 5 local non-governmental organizations with a very rich experience in working directly with the young people who are marginalized, excluded, very often disaffected. Again, the partners, I have too much time to talk about them, but they are various civil society organizations. Some of them, they vary in the size, in their history. Some of them came as grassroots organizations. Some of them came as initiative of parents and interested people in promoting interfaith dialogue, like in Northern Ireland. Some of them were coming from former OSI programs, like those in Romania and Slovakia. So we had a pleasure to work with a very, very diverse environment and many partners whose strength we wanted to bring into the project. The project set up very ambitious goals, and with the main one was to fight inequality and promote equal opportunities. We wanted to stress community engagement, participation, and empowerment of the communities and groups that are usually on the margins, that are usually having very little opportunities to be listened to or even to participate in the decision-making processes. Our approach was to bring into project a perspective looking at them as resources and not as a problem to be fixed. So we really try to work with all partners with the understanding that there is a lot of knowledge, experiences we can learn from, and from those experiences we can build not just a social dialogue, but a dialogue on specific education policies, that we can engage them in quite a professional debate about how to improve education so it caters better for them. Marginalized groups we had involved in the project, the young people were from again, a diverse background. They came from ethnic minorities. They could be like Roma in Slovakia and Romania. There were migrants, like those in Austria and Germany. Or they could be young people from different religious background, like in Northern Ireland. But also in the case of Northern Ireland, there were many people, young people also with migrant backgrounds. So it was a very wide range of people who had various experiences probably and backgrounds, but we were quite interested whether the mechanisms of exclusion, of bringing them at the margins or at risk or even beyond at risk, whether those mechanisms are somehow similar. And we wanted to find new ways to involve them, some innovative approaches that would give them a meaningful way to feel that they would feel interested in engaging with us into this debate. We have there also I think I should mention that the young people we had there were really from children at the age of 10. That was children at the lower secondary school, particularly in Northern Ireland, to young people who were either already beyond compulsory education, beyond secondary education, or who were dropout. So we had, again, in terms of age, very big difference between 10 and 26. That also needed to be understood and catered for when we were preparing the project. We have used the method of citizens panels because we thought that this might be a way how we wanted to test it as a possibility that would allow us, and especially these young people and children, to inform other people about their challenges in life they encounter, what they think about support they would need to overcome those challenges. We wanted them to give us space and floor to develop their ideas, how to be involved meaningfully, and something that they would feel is something they want to be involved, not just being pushed into it. We wanted to find a way that would allow to develop recommendations that would come from them to policymakers. That was the aim of bringing local voices to policymakers. We really wanted to find a way how we can generate ideas without telling them what we think education should be about and for whom, but we wanted to listen to their ideas because we believed people who experience these problems, they probably would have the best understanding also what needs to be done. Citizens panels is a methodology used widely and in many different circumstances, both in EU and internationally. We have decided that for our purpose, citizens panels will be used with the intention to put education at the center. So from the beginning we picked up, it could be on various policy issues, but we have very clearly set up the goal to put education at the center and discuss that. We wanted to gather opinions of various actors on specific issues identified within the groups. So we didn't want to give them the set of list within the education they need to discuss. The people in their discussions came with their own list, and there was quite a variety of them. We wanted to use it also as a discussion about these obstacles and support outside and within school. And I think you just heard before it is talking that it is very important that successful projects do come and combine the element of what needs to be done within the school with what needs to be done outside school and the connections between them. We have, for the purpose of the project, we have adapted the methodology of citizens panels. Normally you would want to have a very stratified sample that is brought together to discuss an issue. However, for our purpose, we really wanted one part of the society. We really were focusing on those children and young people who are coming from disaffected communities, marginalized, who are very who needed a very specific strategy to be engaged. So we had representatives of policymakers, we have representatives of education institutions, but we didn't have the whole spectrum of the community, the social spectrum within the certain communities. We also needed to take into account that many of these people have very little or no encounters, experiences with meeting with policymakers. So we worked with the local partners, with the NGOs who work with them on a daily basis and had established over years a lot of trust. And they have worked very carefully with using different strategies with these young people to prepare them for these citizens panels. So sometimes they organize focus groups before, just to give them opportunity to be among themselves, to get ready to talk about their biographies, about their life experiences, and from them to bring summaries of those discussions to a wider, bigger group organized at the citizens panels. What was very, very important, and I think even surprising for us, was this empowerment that was associated with the initiative, with the projects we supported. Many encounters before they had with public administration was very unequal, very unbalanced. They were meeting people within education institutions or public administration institutions as unequal. There was always someone representing the power, who had the power, the authority, and they were the ones who felt very insecure and powerless. And what we experienced during this project, that imbalance changed rapidly and quite dramatically to an extent we didn't even expected it. It was one of the biggest surprises, I think, to what extent the empowerment played a role in the project. I'm not going to talk more about the methodology itself. It was also linked with the research. So at the end, we have a researcher evaluating the whole project and resulting in a book that is called Bringing Local Voices to Policy Making. So if you're interested, you can find it. You can look for it in the Google. The key messages from the citizens panels came very clearly, saying that the young people have very strong desire to get out of their marginalized position. They did not want to stay in the position of victims. They very much were eager to participate in building an inclusive education. So unlike what generally the picture is, that these are passive people who are sort of not interested in changing their fate, the voices, the young people were very articulate about that, saying, no, we just, this is not where we want to be. Outcome was, of course, a group of policy recommendations that came from the citizens' panels. In each country, they had different topics, different issues they felt very strongly, but at the end, there was a very interesting intersection between them, and this list was built when we brought them together in Brussels, all different young people from different countries, different groups, and they created this list. So this is their joint list that they felt applies to all of them. And at the moment, I don't think I have that much time to go through all individual policy recommendations, but one of the messages was very clear, and they communicated it in Brussels to the officials from the Commission. They believe very strongly in inclusive education. None of them felt that they want to be separated in separate schools, that they wanted an extended comprehensive education. They wanted support for those who are less performing. And they also said they would like to see more flexible education systems that allow the newcomers an easier access. They talk a lot about barriers entering the education system. A lot of discussion was about combating school segregation that many of them experienced, particularly the children of Roma origin. They were asking for teacher assistants, particularly those with who speak Roma or mother tongue language, because they are the most important also as a language support, not as only culture or home tutor mediator. They also saying that scholarships to students with disadvantaged backgrounds seems to be very important for them. Mentoring and tutoring programs, which I think we will hear soon about. Language support was very important and mentioned by all groups. They were saying start from early childhood. There was very interesting recommendations to the European language policies, saying the multilingualism policies should embrace mother tongue language of the children of migrants. So again, look at the resources we have. Don't go that everybody needs to speak English or French or German or Spanish. If people already have so many native languages that should be recognized. Intercultural competencies, again, I'm not going to talk a lot about that because I think we had a wonderful presentation, and the empowerment was, I will finish with the quote, don't talk about us, talk with us, let us talk. Thank you.